Welcome back to Inside Devils, the show that keeps you bang up to date with everything going on at Old Trafford and, of course, with Manchester United. We've finally kept a clean sheet. We have finally beat Newcastle United. We've finally won another game at home after 3 without reply. A huge game on Boxing Day to give us a massive 3 points to take us up the table. Results have gone our way a little bit as well, with Villa just being in this title race, but more importantly for us, putting Chelsea to the sword to put us level on points with them and for us to keep up with the chasing pack. It is the festive period as well. So, of course, we have to welcome in our beautiful co-hosts, Ryon Statman Douglas, Angelina Kelly, and, of course, Alex Crook. I mean, Angelina, I know it's the season of giving. I know it's the festive period, but Dorgu didn't have to give you that gift-wrapped, stamped, sealed and delivered right in the bottom corner on the volley in the East Stand. He didn't have to give that to you. I don't even think you deserve that. That's not the present you deserve for your Dorgu analysis this year.
Listen, I stand by everything in that he has not impressed at all as left wing back. That seemed to be the role that he was brought in for, but he did leave me wondering what it is that he's actually good at. He has overall looked out of his depth in the Premier League, but there was some stat, wasn't there, that like the last 4 goals that he scored have always been on the right-hand side. It's clearly an area that he is more effective. And the formation clearly suits him as well. I'm sure we'll get into that. You know, Amorim said that he can take more risks as a winger in front of a back 4. And Ruben Amorims spoke about players having to step up with Bruno Fernandes being injured, AFCON, etc. So he's done that, and I've got to praise him. So I'm not taking everything back, but it was a great goal. He had a great performance, and if we are looking at this new formation and we're going to be without the likes of Bryan Mbeumo and Amad Diallo on the right-hand side, and he seems to be working there, then great. But no, I thought it was a great performance from him. Obviously, Aiden Heaven got player of the match.
Exactly.
And, you know, they kind of shared it and stuff. You know, both were worthy. But yeah, props to him. He stepped up to the plate when we needed it, and it was a fantastic goal.
It was unbelievable. You could see some of the reaction from the squad. You know, Casemiro during the game, the way they were telling him to
He even said he
celebrate.
didn't know he had it in him, did he?
Yes, exactly. And Aiden Heaven was laughing as well. Sometimes you get those, don't you, Ryan? Like, a player does something where even the rest of your teammates are like, flip it. Mate, I tell you, when we get to training tomorrow, we're going to give you 10 of those balls dropping out the sky, and I guarantee you won't score another one again. But who cares? It was fantastic from Dorgu. You're a stats man. I don't know if you can give us some stats of like different minutes with formations played, players spending time in different formations and positions. Or are we overthinking it? Because another Christmas present that Ruben gave us, with a little bit of a touch from the game before, is this formation change as well?
Yeah, do you know what? I wish I did have those stats, and I know I'm lacking in that department, Flex. So apologies.
You've gone back to Ryan now. There's no more stat man anymore.
There's no drop the stat man.
Drop the stat man.
What I will say is, I think that this formation change was born out of necessity. I was thinking about this afterwards, where obviously we've lost a lot of players to AFCON. There's injuries in there as well. And if Ruben Amorims had all of his players available, would he have changed the style in the system against this Newcastle side? I don't think he would have. But it really is a case of how stubborn is Amorim. And we've got to that place where he's like, do you know what? I have to change. It was through necessity. And he's done a good job when you consider, I guarantee the players haven't played in that formation for very long. I guarantee, like you said, I mean, even in the interview, I think it's Aiden Heaven who's doing the interview with him. He has to turn away when he says he's been practicing that in training. You've not been practicing that. How can you practice that? That was an absolute stunner. He'll probably never do that again. It was unbelievable. But again, we've not seen Dorgu on the right wing. I don't think his players and his colleagues will have seen that either. So considering they didn't have long to adapt to the players in those positions and that formation, I think they did really well. And I also think that's why Newcastle were better in the second half, because we got the jump on them. Guys, we got the jump on him. That first 45 minutes, they'd have been thinking, we've not been practicing this. We've not seen this version of United. You get in at half time, and then Howe's saying, look, Cunha's cutting inside sometimes off the ball. He's a front 2. Mount's in the 10 all alone. So look, we can stretch him, and you know they're playing a back 4, and so
we saw that after 10 minutes, didn't we? We saw Aaron Ramsdale get the signal to go down. Then Eddie Howe and Tyndall sort of, getting into their players saying, listen, go man for man here, because we didn't expect this. And then Newcastle United actually wrestled back control of the game as soon as they did that, up until the Dorgu goal. then the Dorgu goal just stunned them, and and then the second half was the second half.
Yeah, absolutely, that was it. And like I say, they adapted. And I mean, Newcastle could have had until next Christmas and they wouldn't have scored.
Yeah.
I honestly think it was just unravelling like that, because they really did put the pressure on. But it explains why they stepped their levels up and understood what was going on in the second half. But massive 3 points, considering how depleted we were. That was a huge result. There's far more positives than negatives, in my opinion. We'll find out what the rest of the panel think. But I thought I was buzzing after that. I really was.
Yeah, definitely. Crookie, how do you see it? Because there's been so much made of Ruben throughout the season, not just from ourselves, but from the whole fan base, especially from the media. This system's not going to work. He's too stubborn. Why doesn't he change it? We've had quotes ranging from Ruben Amorims from "the Pope won't make me change" versus other quotes, actually, which people seem to forget, that I will change the system when the players are ready, when I'm ready, when they've learnt this system. I'm not afraid to change. I will do it in the future. Because some people are talking about that as well. He did actually say that too. He didn't just say the Pope thing and say, I'm never going to change, but he's been talking a lot about what he's learnt. He would have done things differently if he could have gone back. Is this a sliding doors moment for Ruben Amorims, or is it just born out of necessity, like Ryan says, that we've just got some players missing and we've just got to survive, and he thinks that this is the best way to do it?
I think probably I agree with Ryan. It was more out of necessity. It was survival football, particularly in that second half. But I also think it could be a massive turning point, not just in the season, but in Ruben's tenure, because it was a type of victory that Manchester United in recent seasons have rarely shown the capability of pulling off, digging deep in the second half, that the kids coming off the bench, and just that determination to protect the goal. And there were some standout individual performances for me. I thought the butcher, Lisandro Martinez, was absolutely immense. Aidan Heaven obviously was given man of the match, so I wouldn't argue with that. I actually thought Ugarte did well in midfield. Mason Mount was having a brilliant game until he was forced off, and hopefully that was just a precaution, as Ruben Amorims said afterwards. And the goalkeeper didn't do anything spectacular, really. Didn't have save after save to pull off, but there were a lot of balls put into the penalty area that if a certain former Manchester United goalkeeper was between the posts, then I'm not sure they would have all stuck to his gloves as they did with Le Mans. So, yeah, really good performance all round, grit and determination, and a massive 3 points in terms of keeping us very much in the hunt for the top five.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what was needed. A morale winning win. You don't always get the performance you want to match it, but we're a team that's got one clean sheet all year, and to keep a clean sheet against a team like Newcastle United, who, yes, I know they're not in the best moment, but of recent years, we owe them one, let's say that. And the last 3 home games, what we've seen, respectively, against Bournemouth, Everton and West Ham, it was one to worry about with 8 players out as well, And actually, do you know what, guys? Weirdly and ironically, this is the proper, if there was a neutral watching this, they'd go, typical United fans moaning. But, I kind of feel like this actually probably isn't the best time to play 4 at the back. I don't know what I look at the players that are left because of the players that have gone, and I'm like, it probably would be easier just to put Dalot right back, or right wing back, sorry, Dorgu left wing back, keep your 3 centre halves, Cunha and Mount are inside 10, so they just stay where they are. You keep Šeško areas, and then, okay, Bruno's out, Casemiro was out against Villa, you just go Ugarte, Kobe, or Kobe was out, so you go Ugarte, Fletcher, or so, and you just keep, maybe don't change it so much, because now it's like Lenny Yoro's basically right back, Patrick Dorgu's right wing back. We don't normally see that, although he can do it. Cunha's a bit more out wide. We don't know, and it actually feels like there's more change doing it this way than what he could do to keep the shape. But listen, I don't want to. Listen, can't talk out of both sides of my mouth. I can't say, why can't we play 4-3-3, this, that, and the other, and then he does it, and we do all right, because it's actually been 2 really good performances. I know we lost against Villa, but that was a sickener, wasn't it? That was just 2 moments of brilliance from Rodgers and 2 lapses of concentration from Lenny Yoro to not get tight enough. And that was the difference. Like, Cunha missed a sitter. We were the better team by far. Again, in that system with Bruno Fernandes coming on for half time. So, with him playing young guys and, Aidan Heaven getting a run in the team, Ange, it's like the best hand Ruben can play with the cards he's been dealt at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so, and I agree. You look at it on paper with the players that we've got, and you think is
Stay the
it
same.
the best time to is it the best time? But I think for me, Ruben Amoriim is technically doing what everyone, including myself, wanted. He's tweaked the system. He brought in the youth players, which I think was really good.
Oh, that's it. Oh, sorry, Ange. Actually, sorry.
on.
You had concerns. You've had
did.
concerns. We've been talking
He's
about
proved
this
me wrong.
because Ange is big on this. I don't know. Our traditions aren't being upheld. And I was sort of saying, I just go and make
I've
sure
been
they're
demanding
ready
to know
and,
where Jack Fletcher is.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
rocked up. Great.
He's playing. Shea Lacey got a debut. Aiden
Yeah.
Heaven's having a great run. Dorgu's
I think
only
he's
20.
watching this show. I'm not going to.
Ah, here we go. What do you have to say about that? Because the youngsters are playing well.
Again, that feels like it's out of necessity as opposed
Go on,
to
Crookie.
design. And listen, it's difficult
God,
because
yeah.
it's his debut, but I think what we saw from Jack Fletcher actually probably proved that he's not quite ready yet for the Premier League.
Yeah.
But can we tell after that game you got to come in against Villa?
He looked a little bit out of his depth.
I think that's fair. I think, guys, against Wolves at home, you give them a few touches on the ball. Let's see how we could. That game against Newcastle, get on, kid. 45 minutes. No one knew the game would go like that. You're going to be on the back foot. You're not going to get a touch. Nobody's going to get a touch. None of our good players are going to get a touch. And you just got to run and dig in. And do you know what? I actually think the opposite. I think for a young kid coming in, where you could easily make a mistake, you can not track a runner, you can give away something silly in a bad area out of not concentrating or over anxious. I just think he just kind of went on under the radar and just ran and just be the body in there because that was a difficult game, man. That was a difficult game for any kid coming into.
Yeah, I get your point. I'm happy to see the youth, like Crookie said. Like we know that it's because of injury and because of AFCON. I think it will be interesting to see what happens after AFCON and if certain players, like Jack Fletcher, for example, does prove himself and does have some good games. If he's going to keep that, he said that he would look within versus panic buying as well. So I'm happy to see it, and I just hope that it continues. And I guess with the system and the comments that he's making about, if I could go back this time a year ago, I would do things so differently. I would do 75% of things differently.
Crazy.
Maybe this is his way of admitting he got it wrong without fully copying to it. I think overall, I'm just a bit confused because I feel like I know that the point that you made the comments about, the Pope won't make me change. He also said, I will change, when I'm ready to. He's talking about how it's, it will take time to perfect a 3-4-3 and he doesn't have the money, etc. So it just makes him look a little bit foolish that he dug his heels in.
Because he could have done this a year ago.
Yeah, he dug his heels in so much. Like, what has caused you to wake up one day and decide to change? Like, why have you changed? Is it because you've been told that there's no money in January? Maybe you thought he'd be backed more in the transfer window than he will be. Have the powers that be even doubled down with the Kobbie Mainoo situation and said he won't be sold and he's lost that battle and he's been forced to change? I don't know. These are just conspiracy theories. But it's a little bit frustrating because I just feel for outsiders looking in, he just looks a little bit foolish. And obviously the comments about Kobbie Mainoo being the future of Manchester United is just ridiculous because the evidence hardly suggests that he's got great faith in him. So the comments are a little bit frustrating. He's not loaning Kobbie because he sees him as the future. It's because of injuries and the club have probably said we're not selling him. So I digress. But yeah, just overall, I'm happy to see the tweak, happy to see the youth players, but I just wish that he didn't sometimes say these things that make him look just a little bit ridiculous.
What do you think to that, Ryan? As you sum up Ruben Amorim's decisions, over the course of the year, but especially in this little period now where he did offer up the line of I actually realised that if I want to play this effectively, it's going to cost a lot of money. I need to buy some top wing backs. I need top central midfielders. I don't really have.
We could have told him that though.
That's what we were saying for ages. Exactly.
Watch the show. Just watch the show, Ruben.
Yeah, because like Ange said, we've been saying that, and it hasn't been rocket science. It's not like we're flipping football tacticians of UEFA A licenses. We're just fans who watch the game that are like, you probably don't have the players for this. You should probably try that. And it's taken him a year to basically get there. Do you think there's not external pressure? It would be internal pressure, but pressure from the hierarchy to do certain things and he's realised certain things? Or do you just think that, I know it's a bit weird, but maybe this was always the plan? I just wanted to cement certain things, wanted them to know who I really am, to show I don't just buckle at the first hurdle and crumble. I do things that I believe in, and then I will show you the other side of me that I'm ready to adapt. And what does this look like when players get back from AFCON/injury as well?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think the second option you've just said there. I think he's trying to establish his brand and his philosophies and put his stamp on the Premier League. There's two parts to this. I think we are quite clearly watching a manager learning on the job with regards to the Premier League. I think he said it in his press conferences and his RI test as well. It's knocked him for six at times, the Premier League, and just how competitive this is. He's even right at the start of his tenure, I don't know if you remember, and he was saying, like, I'm a young manager. And these kind of things were just when he was being extremely honest in his press conferences.
Yeah,
he dialed it back a bit. Yeah. He was too honest. And even that, he's learned to not be that honest. So that's the first part. I think he definitely was trying to establish his brand, and the Premier League really just caught him off guard, which is that I'm sure people who are hammering out, and there will be some that are in the fan base, that they'll use that and they'll go, well, why have we got him then? But that's just the case. And the second part of this is, I'm not too sure how much these press conferences mean to him. Sometimes I just think he doesn't mind being flippant. He doesn't mind saying things, and he doesn't mind creating a bit of a field day amongst the media. I mean, even in his post-match conferences, he says, it was fantastic answer. In all fairness, I was all for it. And he says, I played a back four. Kobe McMahon injured, and that's it. So they're all your headlines. That's everything you're going to want to ask me. So I think he's kind of over the press conference and answering those questions. And I don't think he cares if he throws something out there, and he's trying to create this little bubble within Manchester United and protect them from the outside. So I don't think it was always the plan. I really don't. But his brand and his style, I mean, we all know for all the live-long day that he wants to play that formation, the Amorim system with the wing-backs. We know that's going to be the case. But even going back all the way back to, let's use Ahmad for an example. Dorgu's playing on the right wing. Ahmad must be at AFCON thinking, hey, this ain't fair. You know what I mean? He's had a chance.
I've been
in my
running
position.
up and down for a year now.
Yeah, exactly.
And now he's actually playing in a position I want to be in.
Yeah, there's no chance that this.
But is that not a reason why it could? Is that not a reason why this could stay though? Because if you look at this formation, then you go, I'll tell you what, you put Ahmad at right wing.
Yeah.
You put maybe Mbumo on the left, or I don't know. You just
could,
switch things up.
It could, and like Crookie said earlier, it probably has opened up a world of possibility here, which is, again, sometimes these things are born out of necessity, which is absolutely fine. I think that may well be the case. But then because we bought two 10s in Mbumo and Cunha, 10s, someone's going to miss out there, and then Bruno comes back, and something. Exactly that. Something's got.
He will probably go back to the other formation.
He'll revert. But at least we know we can pivot. That's the
when
big
needed,
positive. Yeah, when needed. He's not going to be too stubborn where he'll just die on his sword, which is a huge positive.
In terms of the game as well, I saw a lot of fans and were a bit concerned. I was during the game, but listen, once we've won the game, what can you say about Amorim's substitutions in the second half? Casemiro was puzzled himself.
Yeah,
he's going, what me? You're taking me off now? Couldn't believe it. But he took it well. He still gave everyone a high five and stuff. Yeah, professional. Just shows actually the difference. If something's not going his way or his mentality's still top. But a lot of people felt like it was Xerxes for Sesko as well. People didn't feel that made much sense. Of course, near the end he took off Luke Shaw and Martinez for young Fletcher, and we saw Terrell Malacia again. Couldn't believe that. Talk about another Christmas gift. Crazy night at Old Trafford. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or is it as simple as you don't care because he was proved right because we won the game and got a clean sheet?
I mean, listen, we won the game and that is technically all that matters. But I think we've been confused by the decisions he makes with subs for quite a while, like this need to always sub when it comes to defence, etc. So I don't think it's too surprising that he did something that maybe people don't always agree with. I feel like with Šeško bringing Xerxes on, I mean, is that just to kind of raise his stock a little bit because he's going to be going out on loan? I don't know, but with Šeško, I feel like When you look at the strikers that are failing across the Premier League, he's been getting a lot of stick. I personally think that he's got more in his locker than someone like Victor Gyökeres when I watch him, for example. And even speaking to Arsenal fans, a lot of them do say, I'd kind of almost like to see Šeško over Gyökeres because he's been so terrible. Isak obviously is out now, but he's not been firing on all cylinders. I think that with Šeško, there's definitely a player there. I think it's just a confidence thing and a minutes thing. So it's a shame. I would have liked to have seen him kind of stay the full game. And maybe with, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, those are games that he should be scoring in, really. So fingers crossed he gets a look in. Lisandro Martinez, a few people getting worried as to why he had to come off. I thought he was absolutely excellent. The way that he won a header against Nick Voltemar. Lisandro Martinez is 5'9". Voltemar is 6'6". Like, you do the maths there. Like, I love that guy. He is such a grafter. Obviously, Aiden Heaven and him, I think that they paired up quite nicely. And I think you look at Aiden Heaven over the last 3 weeks, he's played 5 games and he's really improved. He looked very shaky at the beginning, but I think, and it's a good sign that, Crookie mentioned about the youth players and maybe this is just necessity. Maybe it is, but the fact that Amorim has said, if he continues to play like that, it's going to be really hard to take his place. It's a good sign that he's entrusted a young player like that. So I think overall, the subs are a little bit weird sometimes. They're a little bit frustrating, but the most important thing is that we won the game, and we won a game without Bruno Fernandes, because I think the last 6 league games that we've been without him, whether it's through suspension or injury or whatever, we've lost 5 of them. So, and also to get a good result at Old Trafford, because, our form hasn't been great. We've only won 4 of the last 14 home Premier League games under Ruben Amorims. United have since won 5 of the last 8 league fixtures at Old Trafford. So all those things combined, I think that we'll look back at this game and be like, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect at times, but I think we'll look back at this and be like, those were 3 very big points. And I think that once the season's ended, that will be a game that we look back at and think, yeah, those 3 points really ended up counting.
Yeah, I agree. And Crookie, look, we've spoken about, obviously, the more gritty side of the game and having to see it out, maybe some of the substitutions, and it was a really big backs against the wall job for. I thought it would just be a phase of the second half. In the beginning of the second half, I was like, right, just get through just 10-15 minutes and then start taking control again. It obviously was not that. We had to suffer the whole half. But actually, in the first half, we played some really good stuff, and I wanted to talk about Matheus Cunha, because I know he didn't score, but just the way he was taking the ball in the first half, gliding past people like they weren't there. He's really got to step up in the absence of Ahmad and Mbeumo, hasn't he? And he's been doing that for large parts of the last couple of games, I'd say, since those guys have gone.
Yeah, he's going to be a massive player while those players are away. And you're right, his ability and his bravery on the ball is so crucial. I really enjoyed the first half performance, reminiscent in many ways of the first half against Bournemouth, albeit without so many clear-cut chances being created. But Cunha was central to that, and he just looks like someone who was born to wear the shirt. He certainly isn't weighed down by the expectation and the responsibility that comes with being a Manchester United player. And surely it's written in the stars that he's going to have a big say on the outcome when his old club come to town next week. Yeah,
exactly. And actually moving on to that, Ryan, looking at that Wolves game, traditionally, these are the games you look at and say, right, got a good run coming up here up until we go to, I think, Arsenal. It's like, playing 3 teams that are just 3 promoted teams you're playing. Yeah. You're playing Wolves, who we've just beat the other week. You're playing Leeds away, which, even though just come up, let's be honest, that actually is just a tough game, to be fair, as our rivals. And the hatred there is there. And, of course, Burnley after that. But the Wolves game, we have to be backing that up with a win, right? There's no point doing that against Newcastle United, even with the players missing, and then messing up against Wolves. Did you see a little bit of worry in this game? Wolves actually, we're the only team to really open them up with 4 recently. Other games they've played, look at them against Arsenal, very tight, Villa very tight, Liverpool 2-1. Yeah. They're the weirdest bottom place team I've ever seen with 2 points, because when I watched them, they're in games. It was 1-1 with us at half time. Like, they're in games. Obviously, they always go on to lose, but Do we have to be a bit careful that we don't just assume, oh, lovely, and now our reward for doing that against Newcastle was a nice, easy night at Old Trafford against Wolves? Because it probably won't be an easy night.
It won't be. It will not be easy, this game, and just as a you guys know me by now. As a base level, I like to see both sides of the argument and give like a balanced one. And you've kind of alluded to it there, where you still have to work hard to beat this Wolves team. Now look, they're setting all kinds of records. It looks bleak for them. Let's be honest with you. And you look at all the teams that they've got to play yet, and it's like, who are they going to beat? What version of this Wolves side have we seen where they're actually going to beat teams? So look, they're very much beatable, and that kind of balanced side of me wants to say, look, we're still going to have to work hard to beat them, but ultimately, Flex, this is where the Man United fan comes out in me. We have to slap them up. We do. Yeah, we have to. We do. I'm sorry, we do.
Yeah,
we have to.
There's no excuses. Pump these guys.
There is no excuses. If it's anything other than a win, and I'm not saying we have to convincingly 3-0 tonk them, that's it, shut them out, third clean sheet, nothing like that. But if it's anything other than a win, then that is an extreme disappointment. This Wolves side, they are there to be beaten, and yes, you have to work hard to beat them. But we're talking about Premier League opposition here. We can't forget where at the start of the season where we wanted to be. Some people were saying top 4. Some people were saying just top half. We're in amongst it. We're doing really well at the moment, and we're where we want to be at Christmas. But we come up against this Wolves side, and we just have to pump them convincingly. But players like, I think it was Heaven that got man of the match, right? The other
it was,
day.
yeah.
But for me, like Martinez, especially putting on the armband, was just so. I know Ange alluded to it earlier. So important, and we've got him back, and we're seeing that over the top ball again, and we're seeing, that when all the defenders are fit, make no mistake about it, Martinez is the best defender in this squad. So. It's good to have him back, and we still have some staples there, and we still have enough quality to beat this Wolves team. We can't be saying, "Oh, look, we've lost some players to AFCON, we've lost some players to injury." No, we have to come up against this Wolves team, and we have to beat them. There is no excuses.
Yeah. I agree. Before we get to Ange and her prediction, what's your prediction for the game, Ryan? Considering all things said.
Yeah, no, I went in hard there, didn't I?
You did.
I'm gonna say third clean sheet. I'm not so sure. I say 3-1. That's where I'm going.
Well. Okay. Yeah. Ange, big game. How do you, before you give us your prediction, just quickly give us how you see like the lineup? I think there's not much players different back from before. So would you expect to see something similar, same system? Aiden Heaven continue alongside Martinez, but basically how we started against Newcastle United. Maybe unless Mason Mount is a bit, touch and go because it's a precaution.
Yeah, fingers crossed Mount is okay, because if it is something bad, then once again, this guy's luck. He needs to speak to someone, because someone's got some kind of like voodoo, like spell over him or something.
This is longest period fit as well.
Yeah, like I feel for the kid. I think he's going to stick with very, very similar. I think it's going to be the same starting 11, depending on Mount. And I agree with Ryan. This is a game that, even though due to some of our inconsistencies, I still feel a bit nervy about it, because we, on paper, we've not done well against teams that we should be beating. But not just top 4, the majority of the majority of teams in the top half of the table, if not even some in the bottom half of the table, should be beating a side like Wolves. I know me and Crookie have spoken about it. They are going to be the worst Premier League side. I think that their points tally is going to be the lowest. They will break that record. So I was thinking 3-1, same as Ryan, but I'll go with belief in the goalkeeper. So I'll say 3-0, but this has to be a convincing win. I don't want any slip-ups. This should be.
Can't guarantee that, Ange.
I know,
all I can say is that maybe
but
the win will probably be there, but I can't give you guarantees on what it looks like.
I know. I just want this to be a comfortable, enjoyable game for fans. It's at home. We've got Leeds away after that, which is going to be tough. I just want to end the year on a positive note. That's all I want.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I agree with everything you guys just said. My prediction, I'm going to go... Do you know what? I'm going to go for the clean sheet. I'm not going to go for emphatic, though. I'm going to go for 2-0.
Oh, I like that flex.
A goal each half, professional, just do the job. We do still have some players missing, so it might not be its free-flowing best. But even with the players missing, if we play how we've played against Villa and in the first half against Newcastle United, but against Wolves, I know football's not exactly played like this, but if we do, then we've got every chance of opening them up 3s and 4s, because we've been creating a lot of chances, but I'm just going to not get ahead of myself. and still say we're not gonna run away with it and destroy them. I'm gonna go with 2-0. Crookie, to round up, prediction for the Wolves game, mate.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for a nervy 2-1, partly because of the absentees, but also they're playing well against the big teams away from home. Really unlucky against Arsenal. Had chance in the second half at Anfield. So I do think there's been subtle improvements under Rob Edwards. So I don't think this is going to be the walkover that it was at Molineux.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying. It's this. They are the weirdest, lowest, worst team I've ever seen, because I watched them and they do have a bit of fight about them. They can score a goal or two here or there, and they're pushing teams. Like I said, we're the only ones that have really opened them up, and I think that was because they probably didn't actually respect us. They probably looked at that game and said, I tell you what, Man United, we can get after them. And, they got in at 1-1 and probably thought, and then a bit naive. So I don't think Rob Edwards would be as naive as he was in the first game. So that can come with all sorts of... If that's just a low block with the amount of players we've got missing, it could actually be quite a difficult evening, to be fair. So, but yeah, just go and win the game. That's all we ask for. Guys, this has been Inside Devils. A big thank you to Alex Crook, Angelina Kelly, and Ryan Douglas and myself, Flex. We will see you on the next episode, hopefully with another 3 points in the bag into the new year. And have a happy new year as well, guys.